going on? Welcome to the podcast.
Number 12.
Yeah, moving right along.
And we got some
Moving
good
right
stuff
along.
today. We'll wait till everybody gets in, and then...
Oh boy. That's me.
Oh, okay. I was like, where's that coming
Well,
from?
feedback.
Little
Yeah,
feedback.
here we go.
Damn it, Eugene.
Sorry, I messed everything up. I do all the bad things. So guys, today we are going to be talking recovery tips.
Recovery tips, yeah. So we'll give it a few minutes to kind of let everybody roll into the live stream. But yeah, so today we're talking about recovery. I'm getting ready for a big tournament. And so I've made a few changes in some of the supplements that I'm taking, some of the lifestyle habits I've had, just to see if I can maximize that recovery.
Yeah, so you told me, we were talking kind of before the podcast, you were telling me some really interesting stuff that I haven't even played around with.
It's really interesting because it's the first time I've ever done it, and what we're going to talk about in just a second. It's been really neat as far as the effects that I've had.
Look at our recovery beverages of choice. Coffee, and Chewy's got Fit Aid?
Well, I've already had my coffee like just a couple hours ago. This has a lot less caffeine.
Yeah.
And if I drink too much caffeine, it just doesn't handle well. Although, with the little tip that I'm going to give you guys in a second, it's a really safe supplement you can use, and I've been taking it, and it's killed the jitters from any sort of caffeine.
Yeah, you get kind of jittery with caffeine. You got to be pretty selective on your amount.
Well, I'm so hyper anyway. So then, if you give me that extra dose of hyperness, I just go too far. And so
talk really fast.
I do. I talk really fast. Like if you've ever been, if anyone's ever had the pleasure of being in one of my classes that I teach right after like a big dump of caffeine, I'm like rambling a mile a minute and I'm talking too fast and I'm like, blah, blah, blah. Like we were, I did a seminar down in Lewisburg, West Virginia. And I remember Jess was telling me, she goes, man, because we were sitting there at this coffee shop and the coffee was really good. And so I had a little bit too much. So we go over and teach a seminar, and the first like 10 to 15 minutes of that session of me teaching, she was just like, oh my God, you were just going nuts. And I was just like, too much until I got kind of like my blood flowing or whatever, it kind of slowed down a bit.
Were you just kind of, were you having some adrenaline because it's just a new place and you were running a seminar?
Well, there's always that. Right? I always get, like, when I meet new people, I'm always super pumped up and excited. Now, combine that with being, like, raising your red line because you're drinking a bunch of caffeine.
Yeah.
It's just too much. And, just, it's what it led to.
God, I gotta have it to function now. I used to hate
coffee.
I hated the taste of it.
When
I started physical therapy school, I was like, I would have to drink it every morning because I was just studying all the time. I always have to study. Like, I always felt like I had to study so much, and I was like, I have to get coffee. I never did, like, some people, would take, like, some supplements
right.
that were,
Talking about Adderall?
Study. Yeah. I've never done that.
I've never done it either. People have asked me
interesting.
before.
It's interesting how it, somebody that is so used to focusing, how much you can maybe help hyper focus. If you're not somebody that even needs that,
right?
Most people are lacking in in the ability to focus. That's why they're taking it. They have whatever ADHD or whatever you want to call it. That's even a thing.
Yeah.
I don't know, but for me, like I've been able to, for the most part, kind of focus on things, and I don't know if it would get me.
Well, that's a great segue into it. So we've got, obviously, everybody's here now watching. And so, today what we wanted to do with you guys is jump into some recovery tips.
Yes.
Because that's one of the things that I know you're a physical therapist, and me as a coach, I get it all the time. People are like, man, how can I recover better so I can train better, get more out of my training, all these things. Even if you're only training 3 days a week, how can you, recover in the downtime, to get better results later on? And if you're training more often than that, or if you're training for a competition like I am right now, or was, because right now we're just kind of coasting until this weekend, how can you recover better? And so before we get into all those recovery tips, one of the things I was sharing with Eugene right before the podcast is that I've been taking l-theanine. Some of you guys might know about it, but I've been taking l-theanine with my morning cup of coffee. L-theanine is an amino acid, non-essential, that basically it comes mostly in doses from green tea. And so if you ever drink like a bunch of green tea, you might notice you kind of get a more smoother kind of like buzz, right? Like you're a little bit more aware, more alert, whatever, but it's more calm. And they say that's caused by the theanine that's in it, right? The dose of theanine. And so I was reading this thing, and they said, try theanine with your morning cup of coffee if you're susceptible to jitters or distracting thoughts. Like sometimes if I drink too much caffeine, it's like I'm excited and I'm pumped up, but then like my mind's racing too fast. I've taken the L-theanine, and I was doing some work, and I mean, like there was one day where I drank my morning cup of coffee, big cup of coffee, took my theanine, I did 100 milligrams of theanine to start off with, and I was in like the Matrix for 4 hours. Like I got done. I put in my binaural beats. You familiar with those? Like the
No.
Okay, so just
Binaural beats.
binaural beats. Yeah, so
Okay.
I put like basically put my headphones in.
Okay.
And there's certain like frequencies they say that can elicit certain things. So
Yeah.
I pop them in, and then I'm listening to my beats and then doing some work and writing. And then I mean it was like 4 hours, bro. It was like just going. And then by the end of it, I remember I came out of it. I was like, oh shit! Like there was 4 hours went by. And so what I've noticed from the theanine has been an increased concentration and more of a smoother ride on the coffee. So instead of getting that rush up and then you come crashing down, I get that like smooth, like I'm good, I'm focused, I'm calm, but like there's like it's just more wieldy, right? It's not unwieldy. It's not like where I get so much of a caffeine dump where I'm like jittery and shaky.
How did you find out about it?
Man, I was just going down the rabbit hole researching stuff, because I always get interested again in like figuring out how things work, and I forgot what it was, but there was it was like some sort of like presentation a guy did, and so I was curious like what was going on and what he was talking about, and so he was like, here's a couple things you can try.
Yeah.
And one of them was theanine with your coffee, and then now I looked up, there's a whole ton of stuff regarding theanine as a nootropic and things like that.
So it's mainly in green tea, you said?
So yeah, mostly you'll find it in like heavy doses in green tea. And the if any of you guys are interested in the supplement, the main company, I guess that sort of is the most oldest, probably most established of extracting the theanine from the green tea is Taiyo. It's a Japanese company, Taiyo, and they have a sort of a patented way that they do it called sun theanine, and that they extract L-theanine. And so if you get a supplement like the one I take, I'm not going to say the name because I have no affiliation to it, but when you take it, you'll look on the back of the label and it'll say sun theanine is a product of or whatever of Taiyo company. And so if you get that one, like you're good. It's respectable, it's good, you'll be getting it, and so it's widely available and it's pretty darn cheap.
So how do you take it? Like, is it a powder? Is it a pill?
There's different ways. Like some guys have, like some people have powders that you can take that like you can mix up with stuff. I just simply take a capsule. Like you can take a capsule or tablet or whatever. But there's powders that you can use. Some people like those a little bit better because you can get the bulk powders, right?
So what about taking it with meals, without meals, with coffee, without coffee, or caffeine?
So what again? I've only used it with caffeine, so I haven't done it by itself. What I've read from the literature is that when you take it without coffee, it still gives you a slight stimulation, but again it's that more calm sort of stimulation. Basically imagine being like focused but calm but not sleepy, right? Like where you're just kind of in the zone. The cool stuff about it is, so here was some of the cool research that I saw, and this is why I wanted to include it on this episode. It helps promote alpha brainwaves, which have a relaxing, like concentrative effect on the body. So again, it's been shown, and these are like studies that they've done with this stuff, because they first, I guess, pulled the compound out of green tea. They first extracted it in its pure form somewhere in the 40s.
Okay.
So they've had time to play with it, but they said that it promotes alpha brainwaves, and they said that along with that, it can help decrease mental and physical stress, like the stress on our body, stress on our mind, things like that. So if you're decreasing the stress, this can lead to better recovery, better resting, basically just less load on your body. So it means you're going to be able to do more later on. And so that's why I think it's really interesting. And the big thing that I've noticed is, I was telling this to my girlfriend last night, when I write, okay, writing, like I love writing, you know what I mean? Whether it's a post or it's a blog post or writing for a book or anything like that, I love writing. And so the hard part for me is that my best creative hours are typically between the hours of like 6 to like 10 in the morning. And then after that, it's like, I feel fried. Well, since I was taking the theanine, I'm finding myself like in the middle of the day, 3, 4, 5, 6 o'clock, still writing creatively and feeling like I've got some thunder in there going. And I was like, man, this is really neat. And so that's where I've noticed, like, I don't get that, like, where I go, whoop, and then put her out. It's like, it's a more level thing. And I've noticed it's been helpful even for training. But it's got some really cool benefits. And even, they said it, even some dosages, like they've shown that it can even help promote theta brainwaves. Theta being like, when you're meditating and you're calm and you're in that zone, that's what, typically when you create the theta waves, like that's where they say if you go to like a float tank or something,
Right.
it can help promote to help you get into those sort of brain states.
Yeah,
So it's a really interesting thing.
Yeah, I'm thinking maybe it's effect on, so the main stress hormone is cortisol. So
Right.
I'm wondering if it is
It
decreasing. Yeah,
decreases.
That's huge.
Yeah.
Because that cortisol is going to limit, recovery, obviously inflammation,
Right.
all this terrible stuff that that constantly we're stressed and dealing with stuff, and man, it's interesting.
It's like I said, it's a really cool thing. So I've been playing around with it.
Yeah,
and,
I think recovery wise, you can probably break it down to physical, mental, dietary.
Yeah. Which I mean, the dietary
I don't know if there's anything else.
But I mean, the dietary plays such a huge role into it as well. Not just the
something
supplements. But
anybody can do. I mean, dietary, just eat the right shit or modify what you're eating or.
But yeah, so if we got any coffee drinkers or people that maybe if you're like me that you tend to be susceptible to like jitters and things like that, I would just give it a try. Like the supplement's dirt cheap. It's very cheap. You can buy a reputable brand for not too much money, and then just give it a whirl. And see what you think and see if you notice a difference, because I've noticed a big difference in the way that the caffeine affects me from it.
Yeah.
Most of the time they say between 100 milligrams and 200 milligrams with a cup of coffee. I started with 100, felt a good result. I've tried 200 as well to see how it feels.
So on a different aspect, not brain-wise, but diet-wise, for physical recovery, I've turmeric is something that I've not been as consistent.
Yeah.
But when I took it, when I was training a lot more frequently, I would get really stiff and sore the day after.
Okay.
I'd wake up, be kind of stiff, achy a little bit, and have my knuckles would kind of hurt, things like that. So when I took turmeric, and I actually did it with I made a golden paste.
Yeah, well, I remember you were making this stuff.
So I've got a video on there. So basically, you take
a video on there. You talking about YouTube?
On YouTube, yeah.
You got a video on there. There's your YouTube.
So a video on my YouTube channel, and it was basically me and my wife making some of this. So we found a formula to kind of make, and so it was the turmeric, and then it was the black pepper because the pepperine in that it helps absorption, right? And then you need a fatty,
you need a fat source to
to help bypass the liver or something, so you absorb more.
So that's a lot of times with a lot of supplements, even different I was just researching this different stuff that people use. You need some sort of fat source for delivery.
Yeah.
Sometimes otherwise it won't make it there.
Yeah.
Depending on if it's the.
So the thing is, people have turmeric. People cook with it and stuff.
Yeah.
And the active ingredient is curcumin.
Yeah.
And so it's got a short half-life, or I think it's a half-life, maybe I was saying it wrong, but it doesn't stay in your body very long.
Yeah.
So you have to kind of consistently take, they say maybe once to twice a day, and then daily you have to take it, because if you don't take it consistently, it gets out of your system. But I would notice, I would take it probably every morning and kind of the evening. I would actually do a shot. So we do this golden paste, because it doesn't taste very good at all. We do that with some lemon juice and then a little bit of cayenne pepper, and I would just take a shot of that, and I would feel less stiffness, less soreness, actually. So
the big thing, I actually drink some stuff called golden milk. It's the same thing. So, it's like turmeric, and then I'll put some coconut oil in there as a fat source, and it's got black pepper and everything else in there. But yeah, no, those are helpful. And I don't know about you, but the biggest thing for me, and I know this, I've predominantly, for the most part, I have stopped eating gluten and any sort of wheat, pasta, any of that stuff since 2016. Is when I stopped. And I stopped because I was just listening to people talk about it. I'm like, here, let me try it out for a couple months and let me just see what I feel like. And I increased my veggies, increased my fruits, things like that, and lean meats, and just no wheat products like that. No processed wheat products, no gluten. And I used to kind of jokingly say, "Oh, you got the glutens, right?" Make fun of people, whatever. And then I tried it, and I was like, "Oh man." I noticed a big difference. The way my joints feel, the way that my body, the way because I have stiff joints in some parts of my body, right? Just from years of wear and tear. It loosened. I got improved range of motion. I just felt my body felt better overall. My digestive system worked better. Everything was working better. And I noticed that whenever I take a big intake of wheat products of some sort, dude, my body's wrecked. If we were in St. Louis, and when I got done training, and we just stopped at this pizza place. We're like, we'll go get some pizza, right? dude, my gut was wrecked for like several days. Like it was just to get it back on track, you know. My joints, like my hands. This is where I notice it. If I eat, I'm like I said, I don't know what it is. Maybe it's not the gluten. Maybe there's something else in there. I don't know. But I noticed that whenever I eat like a big helping of some sort of wheat-based product, my friggin' hands, bro, and my joints, my hands get all stiff, and then it's like after I get clear for another week or so, it's gone, you know.
So, do you think? I mean, carbs for me, a big thing is if I do, I like to eat some carbs, but if I do heavy carbs, like a lot of bread, I feel like heavy.
Yeah.
Like I feel kind of like I don't know. My energy almost doesn't feel the same.
Yeah,
I feel kind of sluggish.
Yeah, no, I feel sluggish from that. Like recently, I've been eating between on like the last couple days where I haven't been training, I've been resting since I was kind of getting over a little bit of like a bronchitis type thing. 100 carbs throughout the day, about 100, 120.
Really?
And then on training days, closer to like 150 to 200. And they sort of circle right around my trainings, right? And then it's like after the training's done, I cut them out. And I like that. It feels pretty good. But yeah, my carbs come from either like sweet potatoes or potatoes.
Yep.
Berries. I really like berries. I feel like I can eat. Man, it's really hard to overeat a bunch of berries. Like if you actually weigh them out and look at them, like a cup of blueberries, 140 grams has about 17 carbs. Right,
wow.
Dude. Like I'm talking about like like one of these big like containers of it has like 120 carbs in it. So I mean, like you could theoretically, if you had a hard training session, you could eat this whole tub of blueberries and get by on it, and it would probably meet your macronutrient needs for that day if you really trained hard. You know, so it's like you get a lot of food for the amount of like caloric intake.
Right.
And so for me, like berries are awesome, and it's hard for me to overeat them. You know what I mean? Whereas like if you give me some like bread or something, I don't eat bread, but if they give me some bread, I can eat the hell out of the bread.
Oh yeah.
And you can overeat. I mean, like one slice of bread usually has like 15 to 18 grams of carbohydrates. Two slices, you got 30 right there. Like I could eat 2 cups of berries from there, and that's a big helping. You know?
Yeah, I like Ezekiel bread. I'll do that sometimes if I like bread. If I do bread, I don't know what the carb.
It's about 15 to 18.
Yeah.
So I can't remember the exact.
Like I don't do white bread or anything like that. I never do white bread if I can avoid it. But yeah, if I eat some pizza, man, I feel kind of like.
Yeah. So honestly, a lot of times people. I've talked to students and stuff like that, even people through the videos, and they'll say, man, how do you watch your diet and stuff like that? I mean, the honest answer is that if I don't eat well, I don't feel well.
Right.
And so I don't really have the urge. Like Jess and I, our kind of a thing is we'll go out like once a week and we'll go out and get some ice cream. Like we go to a place to get ice cream.
Yep.
Because I don't want to have it in the house because my fat ass will eat the whole tub.
Yep.
I go to the place to get the ice cream. And they ration it out to me. Here, fatty. Here's your 2 scoops, right? That's all you're getting, right? And I'll have my ice cream. But other than that, I don't really have the urge. About the only cheat that I'll get throughout the week is usually I'll have a piece of like dark chocolate. About 85%.
Yeah. We do. I'll do some dark chocolate like every night.
Yeah,
I'll do a little bit.
I'll do a little dark chocolate. That's about
just
it
for a
though.
sweet tooth. Yeah, I love it. Well, it's good. It's got a lot of
got some antioxidants and
stuff
like that.
Yeah, it's good for you. Yeah, I mean, so here's another thing. We talked about, and that's something both about you and I have done, CBD oil.
CBD oil,
so let's talk about CBD oil. Like
how have you been dosing yours?
I would just do like in the mornings, like before I left the house, I would do like the dropper.
How do you feel? How do you feel when you do it earlier in the day? Do you feel a little bit too relaxed?
I don't know. I don't. That's the only way I've ever taken it.
Yeah.
And sometimes if I've been a little bit stressed in the evenings, I'll take some like to maybe before I go to bed.
That's where I get the most benefit because I've tested out my dosage of different times of the day to see what I get from it. I've noticed that if I take it in the morning, it like kind of like quells the fire in me to a point where like I'm not quite as productive as I'd like to be. For the things that I do. If I didn't have to like be like a extrovert during the day, it would be fine. But I'm just like, I'm too, it's weird. I can't explain the mindset that I'm in. But when I love it at nighttime, I'll take a dropper at night, between 15 to 30 milligrams right before bed, but an hour before bed, which we'll talk about some tips you guys can use before bed. I'll take about an hour before bed and like, dude, I'll get the best sleep ever. Like, it's like, for me, like, I don't know, like I'll just once I get done reading, I'll drop my book, go to sleep, and I'll sleep for 7 hours straight with no problem. I mean, it's like I go to sleep, I have these very vivid dreams, like really bright dreams, and then work. And there's actually studies, because I think that THC actually can decrease your ability to get into deep sleep. Right. So like, yeah, because that's the studies that they've done. Because they've said things like a lot of people use alcohol, or they use like marijuana, right, to go to sleep. It helps them relax. But they've shown that like when you take those things, they may help you get to sleep because they kind of sedate you a little bit, but it doesn't help with the deep sleep for recovery. And that's where you're going to get the most recovery benefit, right? That's where your body really gets in there, does the deep scrubbing inside your body to kind of clear things out. But they have shown studies that CBD is beneficial to deep sleep. Right? So those cannabinoids and things like that can actually help promote deeper sleep.
Yeah.
And so like I've noticed a big difference in just it's the same 7 hours I'm always kind of getting, but like when I spring up out of bed, it's like dude,
You're ready to go.
I'm ready to go, dude. Like and even my output for that day is much higher because the sleep I think was more quality sleep. And again, I can only say anecdotally that it seems to be helpful, and I've come on and off of it to see if I notice a difference, and I definitely notice a difference in the sleep quality when I have on it.
So the one thing I've started doing recently is I tried to meditate. I've been trying to meditate more. I've been feeling a little bit more stressed lately.
What kind of meditation do you do? Do you have a particular way?
I use this thing called Insight Timer.
Okay.
So it's an app. Just look up Insight Timer on. I have an iPhone, so
I
use that, and they've got like all these free meditations. So this one, in particular, they have some like for the morning. They have some for night. So this one's like getting to sleep. So this one's a way to kind of calm your body down and kind of like they do a little bit of the tensing of the muscle, relaxing, and then because they say for some reason that kind of way that your body, when you're kind of tensing and relaxing, kind of get your body in that starting a relaxation.
Well, it probably, I know that like you say, like when we do a stretch, right? Like we get to those points in the stretch and we kind of move in and out of them. It helps kind of like sort of release those receptors.
Yeah, maybe release some
something like that.
Yeah, something neurological, I'm sure. But a little bit of that, and then a lot of it's deep breathing, visualization, and kind of just calming your. Primarily, you're trying just to concentrate on your breath, and eventually, kind of just basically the music. Kind of fades gradually, and there's one that's like 18-minute, and I'm probably usually asleep by the time I get to the 10-minute mark or something. But I really liked it. I've been trying to meditate more in the mornings too before I get out of bed. So that's something I've been trying to do. If I wake up, I'm kind of not feeling the best. I kind of just get.
You go meditate, man, and dude, you'll feel better afterwards.
I know. It's about making yourself do it. Yeah. It's about setting the time to give yourself the opportunity.
Yeah.
It's, telling yourself it's okay to
it's okay to give yourself this 10 to 20 minutes.
Yeah.
Right. Like, and it's so funny because people say, "Oh, I don't have time to do that," but then I'm like, well, like if you guys have ever done this, look on your phone and go to the general tab, whatever, and it'll tell you the usage time of your applications. Wow. So if you get on there and you say, "Oh, I don't have time for this," okay, go look on there. Let me see how much friggin' time you spend on Facebook, Instagram, and all this bullshit. And then you're gonna say, "Oh, I don't have time to meditate. I don't have time to give myself a little bit of time." Right? Like give yourself a little bit, even if it's like something like journaling, whatever it is that you want to do. Give yourself your time, right? And give yourself permission to do that. Because everybody's like, "Oh, I got so much stuff to do." Yeah, but you'll spend the first 20 minutes of your day like flipping through your phone.
Dude, my wife gets on me about that. I'll get up in the morning, I'll check social media.
I mean, we're all guilty of it sometimes.
Don't do it. And she's kind of like gotten on me about it, and I've tried to be better about, instead of being on my phone before I go to bed, I'll use it for the meditation, or when I get out of bed in the morning, I'll try to not even have my phone around, or I'll do the meditation if I feel like. But I'm not getting on social media. I'm just getting on that app directly.
You know what I do with my phone right before I go to bed, and this is another one of the tips I would share with you guys, and it's like probably stuff that you're like, well, duh, but get rid of your damn phone at least an hour to two before you go to bed. Like, stop looking at it. Like, it's like the blue light only like creates little photons shooting up your eyes that are delaying your melatonin production, telling you not to go to sleep. And then on top of that, like you see stuff and you get sucked into the wormhole, and you spend time doing it's garbage, right? There's nothing about what you're gonna find on there in the last hour of your night that's gonna be that useful that would be more important than your sleep quality. I turn my phone off. I don't turn it off. Put it in airplane mode, and I put that sucker face down, away from the bed. get it away, airplane mode. And I do not flip it off of airplane mode until I'm ready. So like when I get up in the morning, I get up and I go make breakfast, or I go to the gym, whatever it is I'm doing that day, go meditate, and I do my thing first. And when I'm ready for the world to talk to me, boop, I press airplane mode. And someone's like, well, what if someone had to get a hold of you? And they're like, well, I'm sorry, like I gotta sleep, like I just gotta do what I gotta do. You know, and that's really helpful because, you know, like, because if you wake up and all of a sudden you just see all these notifications, it's overwhelming. You're like, oh shit, I gotta, and then you instantly start thinking about all the stuff you gotta do. So like, I don't do that. As soon as I wake up, I look at it, and there's nothing on there. There's literally nothing on that phone except for the time. See the time, cool. I'm gonna go in and do my thing, and then when I'm ready, boop, and let the gates open and everything comes in, right? And that's when I start answering emails or whatever, but on my own time. And you know, the meditation thing, it's funny because a lot of times people think of it as kind of like woo woo, right? Ooh, it's woo woo, whatever. But then, plus, there's so much scientific, like there's so many like studies that you can read about the benefits of it. But even like one of the guys in here, I'll do different forms of meditation. I'll do basic sitting meditation, moving meditation. We have a guy in here who teaches qigong. Tai Chi, right? So like, we went out in the back and he showed me some stuff. I knew a few moves already, a few moves, right? Like a couple basic movements.
Yeah.
And he showed me some more, right? And like we went through these, and you know, like there's been a couple days where like, man, like life's coming at me, and like one of the guys who were Spartan in here, Ryan, he noticed like I was kind of like stressed. I go out in the back, do my meditation for 10 to 20 minutes, come back in, and it's like I'm a different person. I'm like, boop, I'm good to go. Like whatever was stressing me out, I'm good. I'm ready to go. And so meditation is a huge one. And like I said, there's so many benefits that again, going back to recovery, going back to well-being and everything else, so much to it, right? And again, you can think about this as a lot of people spend time doing things like hard training. And then when it comes time to say, hey, go meditate, go do something that is not going to, at least on the outset, like seem like it's productive. Right? Because meditation, it seems like it's like, you know, you're just spending time like breathing, or you're spending time like chanting a mantra, you're spending time going whatever you're doing, right? But it's those things, it's the yin to the yang, right? Or the yang to the yin, right? Like it's the thing that's going to help make the other stuff possible. Because if that body can get more rest, it can be less stressed, right? Like you're saying, like bring those stress hormones down so it can be more well rested and recover. Well, then when it comes time to go hard again, you got more in the tank,
right?
You know?
Well, and people think it's woo-woo, the meditation stuff. You got to think about it. So when you're doing that breathing, that diaphragmatic breathing, that belly breathing, whatever you want to call it, we can get into that. There's some different breathing techniques you like to do.
Yeah, I was going to share one of the breathing
techniques. When you're doing that, they've shown that you're actually stimulating that parasympathetic nervous system. So the opposite of the fight or flight, more the relaxation. So what you're doing is you're lowering your blood pressure. You're lowering kind of the cortisol, like all that stuff, all those cortisol stress hormones. You're lowering all that stuff down. So essentially, by doing that, you're calming things down. You're getting your blood pressure under control. You're getting your breathing more controlled. So you know you're getting better oxygenation to your body, to your joints, to your muscles and everything. So, yeah, I mean there's a ton of benefits. I mean it naturally calms you down. Deep breathing naturally calms you down. So that's part of meditation. Most of the meditations I've done is like, focus on your breath. Start with breathing. You know, get in a comfortable position. All those things kind of feed into, you know, physically calming you down, mentally calming you down.
Right. And so all that kind of comes full circle. You know, you were talking about the breathing techniques. I don't know which ones you've tried, because there's a lot of them. So again, you can do a ton of different ones. But the one that I use sometimes if I feel stressed, right?
Okay.
Is I think that they coined the term. I've actually seen it called different things, but it's been coined by like some of these guys that do like some Navy SEAL training camp or something, called box breathing.
Okay. And
so basically what it is you go in and you can do, for instance, a 4-second hold, like a 4-second inhale. So you do that 4-4-4-4, right? And you can, if you do this long enough, you'll notice, because what you do is you start into the lower part of the abdomen, right? Abdomen, move up, into the diaphragm and move all the way up to the upper chest, right? Because most of the time, if you just watch people, they breathe very shallow with the upper chest, right?
Yes.
Right here, which from what I've read, it creates almost like a panic state in like our body. Like our body's like, it freaks it out a little bit. Whereas when you breathe deep into that, going back to what you were just saying 2 seconds ago, right? Like it kind of helps relax the body, because when we get into that deep breathing into the lower abdomen, it like that lower part of the diaphragm.
Well, think about posture too. So if you see somebody
Most people are kind of
with
crouched.
COPD, so COPD, somebody that's like, you know, chronic obstructive pulmonary disease. So somebody that like is a smoker, it's been a smoker for years, their lungs aren't working properly. So you'll see them breathe. It's called like they breathe their shoulders, upper traps.
Oh, wow.
So think of posture. You're overusing these upper trap muscles. You're getting this. You're not allowing your diaphragm to work. People that can't catch their breath, they're doing this stuff. So that's not a great way to inflate your lungs. You know, to get nice deep breaths. So people are like breathing, they're like shrugging their shoulders up and down, and they're not getting deep breaths. They're not getting a good oxygenation. So that's a huge thing, because people don't know how to breathe.
Yeah.
And they're unable to get that nice deep breath.
And when you tell someone, man, you don't know how to breathe well, they take offense to it. Dude, I've been living on the earth for 35 years. I don't know how to breathe
forever.
I've been breathing forever. But it's like, there's more to it than that.
It's efficiency. Now, I'm not saying you're going to be doing diaphragmatic breathing perfectly when you're training jiu-jitsu and you're going at it.
Right, of course. You won't be able to.
You're going to use every aspect you can to get a breath in. And sometimes you can't. Sometimes somebody's on your freaking stomach.
But when you can, though, like I've noticed that, like for me, right, let's say I'm in the middle of like a good scramble, and then all of a sudden I end up in someone's guard, kind of a static position where we're both kind of recouping and getting ready for our next attack, right? At that point, I will focus going, take that big deep breath into the diaphragm, right? And dude, it does wonders to like bring things down a little bit. So you get that quick scramble, you're going, and then you sometimes you get that tunnel vision, and then you take that big deep breath, and it's like, all right, let's figure things out here. You know what I mean? It can really help for you guys that are training. If you find yourself in some weird spots, think about it. Like try to take that deep breath. And I've done a video online where, and I'm sure you have too, showing like how to do the breathing with the foam roller in the between the legs for diaphragmatic breathing. To help sort of loosen up the abdomen. Because one of the things I've noticed is that when I first started trying to do like deep breathing, my muscles in my abdomen were just too tight. Like, because I'm always flexed, right? You know, like it was a negative thing. So I had to do a lot of like stretching, foam rolling to loosen this damn stomach up. And then that was one of the things where when you do the breathing there, it like loosens up your like lower abdomen and the pelvic region. Those muscles are relaxed in that state, and then you can really fill that belly up. And so you can train. Like I had one guy in here one time where we were doing a deadlift, and I wanted him to take a deep breath, and he couldn't. Like he could not breathe down deep. I was like literally grabbing him, like Phil, make this, push my hand out. He couldn't do it. So I had to sit him on the wall, get him to do that, and then afterwards we went back to the deadlift, and then I was like, do it again. Now he was breathing deep into that diaphragm. He could brace his core properly and lift the deadlift without risk to his back. And so I think that sometimes people have some issues with not just the ability to deep breathe, but the inability caused by muscular issues, where those muscles across are too tight or wound up.
Yeah, and they can't, the sequencing, like, they don't get the sequence, like, oh, wait, I'm supposed to breathe in, blow my belly out, like, But the easiest way, and you talk about it's kind of a 90-90 position, so laying on your back with your hips at 90 degree angle and your feet on the wall, that way, kind of, I feel like it's a more relaxed position. It also takes a lot of these external factors out, like having to use your posture, sit up tall, and then it allows you to kind of rest on the floor, and then you can use, I tell people take one hand, put it on your chest, one hand on your stomach, try to keep your hand as still as you can on your chest, so that it gives you some visual cueing, and your belly, feel your belly kind of push out into your hand. So that's an easiest way, and then you add sitting up, then you add standing, then you add, diaphragmatic breathing with movement, walking, whatever. And these people just don't know how to do it. They've been sequencing improperly.
For years.
Yeah, and then that shit can affect your posture too.
Oh, yeah.
Because you're using other muscles you're not supposed to be using. Some of the intercostal ribs, some of the upper traps, all that stuff you're using, and you're feeding into that bad position, that rounded posture, and then you're also kind of think about if you're rounded too. If you're rounded and crunched in like you were talking about, that belly can't expand.
Yeah, it can't
expand.
expand.
You can't fucking expand. So like you can't even take a breath if you wanted to.
So for you guys listening, like a good it seems so damn simple, but a good recovery tip to help bring you down and relax you before bed. Again, put your damn phone down, and when you're in the process, go do some breathing. Again, try it out. This is what I tell people. Like, I'll go through things that I tell them I'm doing, and people listen to it, and it's like they don't do anything with it. Like, try it out. Like, just try it out and see if you get any results from it. And one of the things is like, just do 10 minutes of breath work. Like, just see what it feels like. Just try it out. Just try to just start off with it. 10 minutes of breath work, and give it a go. You can do the 90-90 breathing. Like, I'm sure you probably have a video on it. I've got a video on my channel.
Yeah, I think I do.
We'll link something into it on the website, and then but do some deep breath work. I really like the box breathing. I like that because I'll get to where the point where once my body's nice and loose and I've been breathing, I'll get to the point where I'm doing like a 6 to 7 second, 8 second count, where 7 seconds in, hold for 7 seconds, out for 7 seconds, hold for 7 seconds. You just move through that, and I mean, it just brings you down and relaxes you. It makes you a lot more mindful during that time period, which helps kind of just relax the brain a bit.
Yeah, I've done a little bit, and the Wim Hof breathing, and I don't know a ton about it. A lot of people, there's a lot of videos on there, and so and people do that a lot. We've got some guys that do the ice baths after training, and they do some of Wim Hof breathing. They say it helps them kind of be in the water more.
Yeah, there's an interesting thing about the breathing, because they say that like the Wim Hof breathing is good. It's definitely good, right? There's nothing bad about it, but it basically over oxygenates.
Yeah, it's different.
They say though that there's some other breathing techniques, and I don't want to get too much into it because I'm still researching it myself, where it's good to have an abundance of CO2 as well. So you over oxygenate and have more CO2, because what happens is if you have more CO2 in your system, it pushes the oxygen in. And so it has this synergistic effect between the two. So with the Wim Hof, you're getting rid of it, and then with the CO2, there's some different ways that you can do this. Like I said, I don't want to talk about it too much, but where they're saying where if you have a little bit of CO2 in your system, it actually helps push the oxygen into your bloodstream to where the point where you can just be at like a passive breath, and then you can just sit there for like 2 minutes afterwards and don't even have to take a breath. Like, at a more relaxed state rather than having to do this whole thing.
Well, that's what happens when people get in that really cold water.
Yeah.
Like they don't control. So I think you oxygenate, so your body's got more oxygen reserves, by doing that Wim Hof breathing, so you can kind of, I guess, can sustain, more comfort, stay longer. I'm not sure exactly. I haven't really done a lot of ice baths.
I did one last night.
How was it?
It was fun. I like them.
How long do you stay in?
I'll kind of come in and out, so like I'll get out for a second, come in and out, but it's also really important to get your head cold, like to for the blood-brain barrier. It's helpful to dunk your damn head in the water. Yeah, because like there's some benefits to that. So like getting your head cold on a regular basis is super helpful. It does some. Again, I don't want to talk about this stuff because I don't have notes about all this stuff, but it's super helpful.
Well, it's just things you all research, ask questions.
Here's one cool thing that you guys can do. Another recovery tip. I've been doing this one since like way back in the day. Contrast showers. Basically, do like 20 seconds cold, 10 seconds hot, back and forth for 5 minutes. It's a super. I started doing that back in the day when I was doing like strongman training and like heavy weightlifting, and was just beat up. Just getting that. One of the guys I was working on, he's like, try contrast shower. So I got in there and tried it, and it feels great. It feels great to like just go back and forth, and I like that.
So there's different on that, like say for example, a sprained ankle.
Okay.
You're gonna do contrast, like hot, cold. And there's different, you can look up there's specific time frames that they tell you to do at specific temperatures. But essentially you're causing vasoconstriction, vasodilation, opening and closing, your blood vessels. And essentially what that does when you close the blood vessels, squeezes all that stagnant blood, that lactic acid, whatever, squeezes that out. When you heat up the tissue, it opens the blood vessels, it comes back in. So basically you're actually tricking your body into pumping more blood, more fresh blood, more oxygen, more nutrients, all that stuff. So it promotes the healing process, recovery, like you were talking about. So I don't have exact numbers, contrast baths and hot, cold and stuff. But man, think of it, banya, Russian. So a lot of Russian culture, they'll do like the steam room, and they'll run and jump with the cold water, and they'll come back in, drink a vodka in the middle, beat each other with some of those leaves, and that's just to help kind of get oxygenate, help the blood vessels open up and stuff. So
I think with a lot of that stuff, like there's more to it than people sometimes think. Because you get these old cultures that like have these like little things that they do, and on the outside you maybe don't know, but then the science comes in later on and says, well, here's what it's actually doing.
You figure it out, and like it sticks around for a reason.
There's a reason why.
Why the hell are people still doing this shit if it doesn't do anything? Well, it does something. It's some kind of effect. Maybe we don't know what the effect is, but people feel better. They tend to feel better doing it. So same thing with, sauna, infrared sauna and things like that. We just got one, and we're getting ready to put it in my wife's business, and that's something we've been playing around with.
Yeah.
And the infrared is totally different. It has certain effects and beneficial things, but just the heat. So people hear about the cold shock and heat shock proteins. Basically, some of the research is showing on that. Getting rid of inflammation. It helps get rid of inflammation. Helping because your body has to withstand that heat and it gets more kind of used to certain things and the stressors, and it's interesting, man. It's interesting how the sauna, and that's a great way, you're helping your expanding blood vessels, getting blood circulating, things like that, and with recovery wise, stretching in the sauna or doing things like that maybe.
With your sauna use, because I know I try to do about 3 days a week in the sauna. I do 3 days of at least 15 minutes per session. What kind of have you been doing it for any period of time that you notice a positive impact?
I try, honestly. I don't get in. I probably get in maybe once to twice a week.
Okay.
I need to get in more. I want to get maybe 2 to 3. But when I get in, I like to really get a good sweat in. So I like to do about 30 to 40 minutes. I like it to be pretty hot.
How hot does that infrared sauna get?
I think ours gets up to 158.
Okay.
So it gets
pretty toasty.
Pretty damn hot, man.
Okay.
But with infrared, I don't think they really recommend super hot temperatures because the infrared rays are supposed to kind of do certain things. So the intense heat isn't. I think it's important though.
Yes,
I think infrared's important.
Okay.
Or not the infrared. I'm sorry,
but
the heat. I feel like that's important.
Okay.
To your body. So definitely just anything. Shit, you feel more mobile, you feel more loose with your body warmed up like that.
Well, I'll do sometimes because I'm not like you. I don't have a sauna in my home right now.
Well,
but I'll go
to
but I'll go to the gym that I have access to, and I'll go use their sauna, and then sometimes I'll get right out of there and start stretching.
Yes.
Or if I'm in there by myself and no one else, and I have the space, I'll sit there and just stretch out while I'm in the sauna. And when you're in that deep heat, you can really hit depth in the stretches that you're normally not able to. But I notice like when I have muscular issues, right, like where muscles are beat up or whatever, I get in the sauna and it helps kind of get rid of that stuff.
Yeah, your muscles I think are more relaxed, they're more kind of mobile, more pliable, kind of just the tissue's not as firm. You ever touch somebody, you're more relaxed.
Right.
When you touch somebody's, if you're in the sauna and you even touch your own arm or something, it feels kind of more loose. So for sure.
So we kind of touched on it a little bit, before bed, I've got a couple little bedtime rituals.
Yeah.
One of them is obviously CBD oil, and again, the reason we're talking about this related to training again is to kind of go back to the fact that it's these little things that will help you get more out of your training, right? If you just run yourself ragged and it's like a high performance vehicle, right? You got this race car. If that race car never gets to go to the pit crew and get some new tires rotated or get some maintenance done on it, it's not gonna finish the race. And people, they put so much focus on their training and all this stuff, but then in their protein powders or their pre-workout supplement, whatever bullshit they're using, right? But then when it comes time to say, hey, listen, I'm going to take some time to relax my body to make sure it gets the other side of it, right? Like spending at least an hour of time dedicated to actually recouping. They're until they're hurt, right? Until they're injured. But that's what we're kind of talking about. And so I think one of the things we touched on a little bit is again CBD oil, doing some breath work. And I talked about it with the breath work is stretching before bed, doing a little foam rolling. A lot of times, especially at nighttime, I've usually trained in the evening. I'll lay on that foam roller and let it open up my thoracic spine. I'll roll into different muscle groups that are tight. I'll use the lacrosse ball or a peanut to get into certain areas.
Yep.
And I spend, maybe 10 minutes on a couple, not very long, but I'll focus on a couple muscle groups.
Yeah.
So I'll get into a muscle and I'll dig for a couple minutes at a time and just get in there and let it basically dig in. And I've noticed again another positive benefit to where I get in bed and I'm more relaxed, and I notice that the next day those muscles that I worked on, I don't feel as much issues from them. They're not as sore, they're not as tight, and it's been beneficial. So because you obviously know more about this stuff as a PT, what's kind of going on when we're doing some foam rolling stuff, what are some things to consider?
So the kind of basic way to think about it, you're not breaking through scar tissue. There's no way, and then people thought, oh, you break through scar tissue, you're breaking stuff up, adhesions. Not really. I don't think you can provide enough pressure or tension or whatever it is. You can't do it. More or less, you said, use a peanut or a lacrosse ball, you put on a trigger point, which is a tight band of muscles.
Okay.
So essentially what it is, it's more a neurological feedback loop. So you're kind of putting pressure on that muscle. That pressure is giving feedback to your brain, and it kind of essentially tells your brain to kind of just release the tissue, just relax it. So basically, it's a neurological. Your body's like, oh, well, this is tense. We need to relax it. So by putting pressure on it, it kind of relaxes the tissue and allows you to go, takes you some restrictions. For me personally, like they say foam rolling is best to do after training. I'll tell people, and kind of from what I've seen in the research, something people don't do is cool down directly after exercise. If you're at the gym, you have a hard training session, you put your shit, you go get your stuff, get in your car, you drive home, it's 30, 40 minutes or whatever it is, you eat and stuff like that, and then you're stiff. And then you're trying to loosen up or foam roll, those muscles have already tensed up. It's a lot easier to work through those adhesions, those tight tissues, while you're still warm, and they're not going to get as tight. Okay. So that, for me personally, I like to actually foam roll before I train, more from it kind of stimulates my muscles a little bit and gives me a little blood flow. So I think when you take something, you like rub say you rub your arm or something, kind of with deep pressure, you're gonna have a little redness there, right. And that's just blood flow coming.
But you're not doing like the foam rolling where you sit there and like dig deep for like before training, or are you?
Not really.
I'm just kind of
working through more of a dynamic, kind of just working through. I'll hold if I have a little tight spot. I'll hold it probably no longer than 60 seconds. If I have to. I just like it more for just warming up my tissue. But they say that it's more effective as a cool down.
Okay.
Now,
let me ask a question while we're on it, because like right now I'm just kind of curious because I like to do cool down stuff, but I've resisted the urge to like make it a part of class. Do you think, and this is literally just me asking you from a student standpoint, do you think it would be beneficial if I took the guys after we're done training through like hey guys, listen, we're gonna do 10 minutes of cool down, like 15 minutes.
I was actually I was like, man, I was driving in, I was like, I'm gonna talk to you about maybe just like saying, hey guys, you want to hang out 15 minutes after class?
Yeah.
Let me run you through.
Yeah, not mandatory, but if you want to do it. Because I mean, well, here's the reason I think, because I know that like when we were doing yoga after class.
Yes.
Holy moly, dude! Like I remember everybody had the same thing. As soon as we were done doing yoga, like the next morning, everybody was talking. Like, man, I felt fine. And I noticed for me, like a lot of times, like after I'm done and everybody's leaving, I'll sit down and do some yoga or some stretching at the gym sometimes right before, or in the mornings and the afternoons. I'll do at least once a day after some training. I notice a benefit.
You're limiting how stiff and tight you're going to get.
Okay.
You know what I mean? You're making it a lot easier on your body. It's a lot harder when you're already stiff and sore to try to work through that, warm your tissue back up, work through some of that stuff.
So while you're done training, while the tissues are already warm, they've already been moving around, take advantage of that time to stretch them out, so this way they don't basically suck back up into, okay, good. So for you guys listening to this, you may not want to do it, but after you're done training, if you have the time, like if it's available on the mat, do some stretching and some yoga,
so let's talk about this. So people, I got a message on Facebook or something, they're like, my gym doesn't stretch.
Okay.
They said it's bad to stretch. It causes injury.
Okay.
Okay. So I've talked about this before, but the main thing is. What's going on here? Oh, sorry. The main thing is this. So, shorter hold times.
Right.
Shorter hold times. Don't sit there and like hold a stretch for 60 seconds.
More of like an in and out motion.
Yeah, in and out dynamic. So what I like to do, for me personally, I like to do just some basic kind of in and out movements, dynamic movements. Then I like to do a little maybe foam rolling if I have time. I don't have to. I like to flow roll.
Yeah.
That is so good for my brain and my body, because I'm getting my brain in like the whole like, okay, we're jiu-jitsu, let's go, let's start thinking about jiu-jitsu movements. So, dynamic stretches, so like 10 to 15 seconds max. You're just going in and you're basically stimulating the stretch receptors. You're getting everything kind of primed, ready to go. The problem is long hold time. So like I said, yoga. You're not going to go do yoga before you come into jiu-jitsu, because you're going to be way too relaxed. Your muscles are not going to feel like they're contracting.
They're not going to have that tightness you need sometimes.
You need a little tension. You need some tension. So if you're doing that long hold times, you're not going to feel like you're as sharp or like as firing as quickly. Yeah. Because it basically gets those stretch receptors too lax. And so if you're maybe even you're training and you get into bad position, you may not have the timing or the reaction to tense up or kind of fight a certain position or something. You may be too lax, and then if that tissue's too lax, then you could damage something. Okay. So not before. Stretching is great. I love it as a cool down. Yes, hold, comfortably, work into it, take your time. You know, if you feel benefit, consistency is important too. Be consistent with stretching.
Yeah, and be consistent with it. And I think the big problem about stretching, even before, like I said, it can lead to injuries if you do it too long the whole time. Like I said, I like short holds in movement. That's okay. But really, like when you talk to someone who, someone who I think has benefited from stretching, like a yogi or maybe like people that used to do like traditional martial arts where they had to get those really good high kicks and stuff. They'll tell you like hold the stretch once for 30 seconds, 60 seconds. It ain't gonna do anything. Like I did because I remember talking to Peter Wang years ago. He's like, oh dude, we'd hold these stretches for like forever to try to like loosen those muscles up. And yogis they'll go in through those stretches, and some of the people that I've talked to they'll go back through a stretch again and again and hold it for a long period of time, not just for a 5-10 second hold. Like so you need to. It's stretching to me is like something that if you want to go do some deep stretching, that's something to do, like you said, after training, some other time. Not
because again, when you stretch, what are you doing stretching? Breathing. You're doing that's all a big feedback thing.
You're tapping into that parasympathetic,
100%. And
so
you're feeding into all that relaxation. That's great, and that's good because by the time you wake up the next morning, you'll be less tight. But also, it's not like you're stretching out and then you're going to go in and do some really aggressive training or something. You're going to be relaxing, and it's good to relax. It's good to transition to that relaxation period.
Tapped into the yin, and then jiu-jitsu, hard training. That's sympathetic. That's yang, right? Like so, it's the double side of it. Like put them in their appropriate place.
Fight or flight, baby. You want to stimulate. You want to be kind of more. I don't know, kind of more not aggressive,
but have that energy I don't want to say because aggression it gets a bad rap. Doesn't mean you're being mean, but you're like if you're being aggressive, like I'm concentrating, I'm focused, I'm getting after something. Doesn't mean I'm being an asshole. Doesn't mean I'm mean. No. It just means if my coach is showing something, I'm focused on what he's showing. If I'm going to try to hit this move, I'm going to try to go after try to hit this technique. If I'm drilling, I'm going to be I'm going to be on it drilling. Right? If I'm lifting weights, I'm going to lift those weights. I'm going to be focused on it. If I'm going for a run, I'm going to push myself. Whatever it is, that's to me it's being aggressive, but. And then if you're on the other side where you're bringing your body down, like you're just in a different mindset.
You gotta be able to, man, because you might be driving home and just amped up. You know what I mean?
That's cool. So
for sure.
So another one I wanted to share with the guys, and this is one that like I try to get everybody to do this. It's just again, it's one of those things where there's so many studies that have been out on it that it basically tells you it just absolutely destroys the quality of your sleep. And when you and honestly, when I stopped doing it was when I realized because I knew the studies and I didn't pay attention to it, and it was at a moment where I felt like I was being a fucking slave, and that was when put down your damn phone. Stop. I've already talked about this before. Put down your phone when you go to sleep. At least an hour or two before. Like 3 hours is better, but if you can put it down at least 2 hours, an hour before at least, and let yourself have time to do whatever it is that you're going to do before you go to bed, man, it's so important. Because like I said, when I wake up in the morning, my phone's in airplane mode. I don't look at it. Like I wake up and I'm like, oh, now I turn it on. When I go to bed, I put the damn thing in airplane mode. I put it down. I don't mess with it. And I remember like having that urge, like I kind of want to look at it right now. I kind of want to look at it.
Yes.
And I'm like, man, I'm getting ready to go to sleep. And I realized like, God damn, dude, those programmers and those people, they do it so well that it's like that little dopamine drip, man. Like, and for me, I get angry like if I feel like I'm not in control, right? So it's like, for instance, I listened to it was on the Joe Rogan podcast one time, and I remember like it was like just a simple statement, but he was like, you're a slave to mouth pleasure if you just can't not eat the chocolate cake, right? And I was like, sure enough, I remember I was like. Going through the grocery store and I start seeing something like, no, I'm like, I'm not gonna be a slave to just like, because that's not gonna help me do what I want to do, right? The same thing with the phone. It's like I feel like a fucking slave sitting there like scrolling through all the time. Like I'm going to sleep. This is my time. And I already know that it's not good for me. So like, put down your phone, and I tell people to get a book. Yeah. Like, and don't get a book for work. Get a book for something that you're kind of interested in. Like I like biographies before I go to bed because it's enough that it keeps me stimulated enough. It's
boring enough.
It to some degree, it's not boring, but it's not like, if I was to like read some book on some sort of jiu-jitsu thing or some sort of business related thing, I would be thinking about it too much. And then like when I try to go to sleep, my mind would be racing. It tells you a story of this person's life, and it kind of like it's not boring, but it's not like overly stimulating to the point where it's like I'm engaged.
It doesn't require a bunch of thought.
Right, and it just relaxes me because it's more of a story. I'm just following along.
Yeah.
So it's like it's kind of in between to where I'm not so bored that I'm starting to think about other stuff. I'm immersed in the story that they're telling me, but it's not so stimulating that it gets my mind wired again. So put down your phone, get a book, and just start reading something.
So here's a question. So that's something that you do. You get massage. So how do you feel like massage helps you?
Oh man,
like what does it do from a mental, physical?
Bro, it's like I was telling Mish this. So for you guys, maybe if you're late to the show, Eugene's wife is she's a massage therapist, and she's the person I go to once a month. And I went in there last month, and I'd been doing a bunch of writing and a bunch of work at home, and I was like, I knew I'd been sitting at the desk, so I was like, okay, I'm probably around it. So I told her, I was like, just dig in to everything in the upper half, like of my shoulders, my back, and my chest, and everything else. She was digging in there, dude, and I'm like, I remember just feeling like I just melted into the damn table, and I have a slight, there's a dent in my pec where I caught a knee,
right?
And so my rib, there's like a little separation there, and she was in there digging into it, and she's like, she felt it. When I got done, she goes, "Oh, I don't know about you, but that was a good session." And I never thought about it, like I have a job, right? Some days I think I teach the best classes, and there's other days I don't feel like I teach that good classes. For her, she's a massage therapist. Again, you try to do the best even if you're having a rough day, but obviously if she's having a rough day, it's going to find its way into the table.
Sure.
But for her, I guess she was having a good day, and dude, I was like, that was amazing.
Yeah.
And then I came back, and again, I just told her to do the same thing.
Yeah.
And when I get out of there, man, I'm just like, I usually go up to the Seneca Park to go for a walk afterwards because my mind's because I'm literally on the table for an hour or more, whatever it is, digging in, really don't talk too much. And I'm just like relaxed, and so like when I get done, like my mind is so relaxed that I'll go for a walk, and I take out my phone, and as I'm going through, if I have like little ideas pop in, I'll take notes of them so I can write them down.
So
later.
what's your mindset going into a massage? Are you like stressed going in, or do you try to kind of prep yourself like mentally, like, okay, I need to just be in a certain frame of mind to get better benefit?
See, I go recently. It's been early in the morning. It's about like, well, not early, but like 10:30.
Yeah.
So I go in there about 10:30, and usually this will sort of come right off of some meditation. So I'll go in, I'll meditate. I live like 5 minutes away from it, so I'll meditate, and then I'll get done with meditation. I'll drive there, and then I'm already chill. Go in there, and I'm even more, and then it gets me even more chill. It's like it just brings me down.
That's a great point, because I think for me sometimes
if you go in there,
I'm like been around, and I'm just coming right from work or between.
If you go into it stressed, I don't think you get the benefit out of it.
I think you can, probably not as much, but it's going to take you longer to wind down. So you may be like, when you come in, like minute 1 through 5, you're already settled in.
Right.
It may be minute 15 through 20 by the time I start getting kind of relaxed and stuff. And I mean, for body maintenance, for blood flow, circulation, lymphatic drainage, and flowing of all that tissue, and it's again, I think for a high level athlete, somebody that their job requires their body to be physically, at a high stress or high level of function. I mean, I think it's crucial. And we were thinking, as far as her, the business goes, using that sauna, as a before, like having people come into the sauna before meditation, calming down, getting all that the stimulus
if
out.
they come in,
do that before, and then imagine how much better the session will be.
And tell them like you should have like a lock or block box. When you step in, give me your phone.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? Give me your damn phone. It's your time. You're here for however long. It is your time. Give yourself permission to have this time to yourself.
Yeah.
Not for work, not for family, for you, right? And then let yourself dig into it. Because again, like when I go into the sauna, like even like when I go to the sauna, it's a time where I'm going to sit down and I put on like an audiobook or something, and I'll sit there and relax and just chill. But I still see guys who are just sitting in the sauna doing this, and I'm like, dude, it's like, it could be, and again, there's nothing wrong with that. To me, it's like, dude, like, I don't want to go through my whole life doing this all day long, right? Like take a moment. You're in the present. This is the only thing that exists, right? Like there isn't, like I say it all the time to Jess. I'm like, there is no past. Like it's imagination. There's no future. It doesn't exist. You got right now. Right. And everybody's walking around just, this is now, just swipe it. We all do it, but like give yourself some restraints on it. Like give yourself, like when you're doing things like sauna, stuff that's going to be for recovery.
Yeah.
Make it that time for that and nothing else. No, like, hey, I'm gonna multitask and make this my recovery / like let me like scrape on Facebook, or let me like text everybody else that needs to do just your time. And I think that if you guys did it like that, like where you say you walk in, give me your phone, put it in the lockbox, and I go get in the sauna, listen to the music to relax yourself or whatever it is you're gonna do, and then just chill.
How do you shut it off? Like, people have a hard time. I do too. It's like I have a hard time shutting it off. Like, how do you go from being stressed or being in a state of like doing a lot of things to just calming yourself down? Is there something you do? Is it simple as putting the phone down, or is it like you have to mentally prepare yourself, or how do you go from like a high stress situation to like a meditative or relaxed state?
Permission, and then meditation and time to yourself. This is what I do. So like I'm naturally like high energy, and I have issues with anxiety at times because of that, because I'll go so much, my mind's always going. And so like for instance, whenever I do like a float tank,
Yeah.
or whenever I do meditation, there's an initial urge where my body like it wants that stimulation. It's like, give me that blue screen, let me look at something.
Yeah.
And then but you got to remember, like, just give yourself permission to do whatever it is. And so like if I do something, I'll have a timer set. Like if I meditate, I have a timer set for 20 minutes, whatever it is. I'm like, all right, I'm gonna close my eyes and breathe for 20 minutes, and nothing's gonna interrupt this. I don't care, like, if my body wants to do something else. This is the time that I'm doing this thing for. I set timers for everything, by the way.
Yeah.
Like, because throughout the day, I find that like I put my phone into airplane mode. Like you guys text me, and you'll say, man, why hasn't he texted me back? Because my phone's in airplane mode like half the day. Because like when I got to do something, I can't talk to anybody.
Yeah.
So I put it in airplane mode, and I set timers. So I'll be like, all right, I have an hour to do this project. This is what I'm allotting to myself. Boom, timer set, and I work. Timer's done. Boom, flip it back on. See if there's any messages. No. All right, what do I need to do now? I'm gonna give myself 30 seconds. Boom, timer set. Airplane mode back on. That's why I don't message people back. It's not because I don't like them. It's because like I have my phone almost off all the day long. Because I like having it if I need it, but I don't want to be a slave to the damn thing, or like, like.
I've seen your phone before, and it's just like constant.
Yeah.
It's like nonstop.
Yeah, it's not just internet related stuff. It's like stuff, like people hear and things like that. People ask a question, and it is what it is. It's like I need that time to do whatever it is I need to do.
That's really important, man. I think.
But you gotta have but what I was getting back to, sorry, I rambled. Give yourself permission.
Yeah.
It seems like it sounds so stupid. Give yourself permission, but people don't do it. Mm-hmm. It's like they'll spend all this time doing whatever, giving themselves away to everyone else, their job, their family, their boss, whatever it is. They give themselves away all day long, and then when it comes time to like nurture themselves a little bit and like give back to themselves, right? They do this with money, right? People will fucking piss their money away on everything else, but then you say, hey, make sure you save 10% of your income for yourself. That's yours. Keep your 10%. You're right. Like then it's like this big thing. Well, it's like I had to pay this. Just do it. And the same thing with your time. Like you give your time away to everybody else, like people, work, bosses, whatever. Don't give yourself permission to give yourself at least an hour a day to do whatever it is you want to do. Maybe that's a massage, maybe it's meditation, maybe it's fucking just sitting down and reading a book, whatever that is. Mm-hmm. But you got to give yourself permission, because if you don't, you'll start doing that thing and you'll be thinking about the other things that you're supposed to do that day, and you can't do that. Like you have to be like, look, I'm all into this. And the beautiful part about it is if that you go all into those things and you give yourself permission, it like refills your cup. Mm-hmm. So that when it comes time to like, just like I was saying, middle of the day, I'm stressed out, there's all this shit going on, I'm like, 20 minutes, I'm going to go out and meditate. I go out and meditate. I come back, and the rest of the day is phenomenal. Yeah. Right? I started filming some videos. I trained a kids class. I trained an adults class. I was motivated for everybody else because I went out there and refilled my cup up. Right? So then I could give away back to everybody else. But that was my time. 20 minutes, phone, airplane mode, earbuds in, binaural beats going. I'm meditating, and I'm dead to everybody else for that 20 minutes. And when I'm done, I'll come back to you.
All right, let's touch on this and we'll take some questions.
Sure.
Binaural beats.
Yes.
What is that? How do you use it? How does it help you?
Go do more. I don't want to like go into it because I'm still looking up. But
right.
I've been doing it for a couple of years. I think I heard originally from like, I want to say, and I could be wrong, so don't quote me, but I think Steve Maxwell was talking about it, and so I was like interested. Like, what is this?
Some little brain waves, right?
Yes.
Yeah, that's what.
It's a frequency of waves, and so there's, again, maybe it's all woo woo, maybe whatever, but there's some interesting stuff they've done with them, and so basically you can get these through different means. You can get them on YouTube, whatever, but like it helps with concentration, focus for me. Cool. Like, so for instance, like I get distracted pretty easily. So I can put those damn things in, and it's just like you'll hear these different noises or whatever, and some are supposed to be better for meditation, some are better for like writing, creativity, some are better for relaxation. I mean, there's a ton of different ways and frequencies that they get into. But I've just noticed that they're helpful for me to get into certain states. Like if I want to go write, there's one I listen to. If I want to relax and meditate, there's one I listen to. If I want to do something else, there's one I listen to. And so there's different ways to do it. But I found that they're really helpful.
Awesome.
So yeah. So cool.
Let's take some questions.
Q&A, guys.
An hour. All right. Let's see.
Shit meme dank post. In jiu-jitsu, you use binaural beats to adjust your brainwaves so you can use chi attacks. That's funny.
Oh my God.
Man, I'm way more woo-woo and hippie than you guys probably think that I am. Because I tell people this, I'm in good company around, if I talk to someone who's like pretty out there, like I'm in good company, like I'm with them, but it's just like I'm packaged a little differently, like I don't get too crazy to it, but in my own time, I'm into it. Let's see here. Chewy, have you ever had a rib injury from BJJ? Any suggestions? I've never had a rib injury. I've had an intercostal issue, which is the muscles around the rib. You've had a rib injury.
Yes.
Right? Yeah. So Eugene's had a rib injury. Eugene, how do you deal with your rib injuries?
You gotta rest. Watch your diet for sure. Don't not a lot of sugars because you're not gonna be able to train as much. You gotta make sure you're on point with your diet. Rest for sure. I did a lot of thoracic spine, kind of mid-back mobility work gently. I did a little bit of even a little massage to the area. It just takes time, man. It's one of those things that it can be a lingering thing because
there's really not a ton you can do except for
you have to rest, but there is because you can do other things. You can work on other areas. Like I actually did some strength training that didn't affect my rib. It was a lower rib, like a floating rib. So I did some things.
See, that's the thing. It's like if like say you have a rib injury or if you have any injury, you have to go backwards and say, okay, like look, I can't do this,
right?
But what can I do? And there's always something you can do, and
there's some kinesio taping you can do or some taping techniques. I think they're marginally effective. I think they can help. Mm-hmm. They can help, and they're good maybe when you return to training as a kind of a way to. A step to get back, but you have to kind of just work on different parts of your body, work on the mid back, and do some rotational kind of gentle things, whatever you can tolerate to get some good movement in, help a little blood flow and circulation, just around the body and stuff.
And I would say that whoever, if you're having rib injuries or any injury for that matter, when you come back, like start with drilling. No rolling. Like I've had several guys because I harp on this stuff through videos and in class, and finally you get these young guys that are listening to me. And they're like coming in and they'll literally drill and do technique, but then when it comes time to roll, they sit out. And I'm like, thank you for listening. I can't make you sit out every time because I don't know if you're hurt or not. But if you're hurt, just go sit down for a minute. It's okay. Relax. It's the thing is people get so. Everybody's guilty of this. Everybody has this feeling where they're not making the most of their time. They feel like they're falling behind, right? Like I'm actually reading the biography I'm reading at nighttime is about Emerson, right? Philosopher, American transcendentalist, right? So he's in the book. They're talking about him, and he has these journal entries. He kept journals forever, and one of the things he was always freaked out about. And this guy has some prophetic stuff. Like he's well up there as far as American literature back in the day, right? Now, right? He's very very well known for that. But he thought he wasn't making enough time. He wasn't making the best use of his days. He felt like he was falling behind. He felt like, like life was passing him by. And so you realize that that's just the quality of all of us. Like we all have that quality, like we're not on it, right? Mm-hmm. And you just have to let go of that because you're in this for the long haul. Jiu-jitsu is not something that you do and you get done with, you accomplish it. It's just kind of like a long-term marathon. So just if you have to take some time off, take time off. And again, give yourself permission that it's okay to take time off. You're not losing any progress. It will come back. No problem. It's like riding a bike. It doesn't leave you. As soon as you start moving around, like those neuromuscular patterns that your body's created, they come right back and
muscle
you start moving. Muscle memory's there.
And be consistent, like that. People always ask you how to get good at jiu-jitsu, get faster, get better at jiu-jitsu fast. No, dude, it's your own journey, it's your own time, it's your own pace. Like honestly, most people could probably get to black belt. They just have to show up.
Well,
I mean,
here's the
and
thing, man.
if that's your freaking goal. I mean, I think when you start, and that's a different thing too. We go on a tangent, but like when I started training,
Yeah.
you're like, oh man, I want the next belt. I want the next
Sure,
belt.
everybody does.
I got the fucking purple belt, and I was like, fuck these belts.
Yeah.
I don't want any belt. Don't give me shit.
Don't
I
give
don't
me
want
more belts.
anything.
Right.
Don't give it to me, and then you do stuff. And
Well, I mean, to me, this is why, like, I made an Instagram post about this yesterday. If it was easy, everyone would do it.
I know, man.
But it's not easy. And my wrestling coach used to say this during our worst practices, right? If it was easy, everybody would do it. He's like, but it's not easy. And, when we would have wrestling practices initially, there'd be a bunch of people, right, for tryouts. A bunch of people would fall off. And basically in wrestling, the tryout was basically, can you keep going?
Yeah.
He would let everyone be on the team. He was like, there's not going to be a cutoff because we were like a small, like, urban, like, city, school, whatever. We needed people to wrestle. So he's like, anybody that'll stick around, they can join the wrestling team.
Yeah.
They may not wrestle every single day, like, or as far as, like, the matches, but we'll find a place for them, right? And the only thing that you had to do was not quit.
Yeah.
And it's fucking hard, bro.
It is
Like, and
very
everybody,
hard.
and because you're doing this grappling thing, and
It's
you
grueling.
quit. And so jiu-jitsu is no different. And this is why it separates for people. And this is why for you guys watching or listening, if you're having those days where you're down and out, you're frustrated, you feel like you suck, you're having an injury, you're going through that struggle. First off, you asked for that struggle. You knew it was going to be tough, and now you got it. You got your struggle, the thing that's going to make you better. Here you go. You got it. Now what are you going to do with it? Are you going to quit? Or are you going to keep going? Because that's what decides things. And this is why people, they want to be good at jiu-jitsu, but they don't get good at jiu-jitsu. It's not because they can't, because I've never seen anybody consistently train for a long period of time not get good at it.
Yeah.
It's about, can you just deal? Can you just keep going? Can you just grind away? And it's like people will let life sidetrack them. They'll let injuries get in the way. They'll let everything sort of pull them off the path. And again, they didn't have to, but they let it.
It's, you said this before too. It's all about your ego. Like, you let your ego get in the way. You're gonna have bad days at a blue belt, at a purple, at a brown. I've had. I don't think you have as many bad days just because you're higher up.
You
on
have a
the
little bit
food
of a buffer,
chain, but
but
you're gonna have
bad
bad
days.
man. As a brown belt, I've had bad days, and I'll tell you about it, and you're like, dude, did you come in? Did you train? Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Well, it's a better day than not training.
That's right.
So get your ass out there. And sometimes those bad days make you hungrier for the good. You're like, shit, I'm not having a bad day today. I'm gonna go.
You have contrast.
Yeah.
Like
You have to have it.
You can't appreciate sweet without sour.
Yeah.
Right? You can't appreciate good without bad. You can't appreciate like good without evil. Right? Like, you have to have the two. And so, like, if you came in and every day was good, it wouldn't be as meaningful to you if you didn't have some bad days sometimes. Yeah. But you just got to take them, just like our training analogy, right? The yin and the yang. Some days you have to go hard. Sometimes you have to recover.
Yeah.
It's the same with your training. You have to have those bad days. You have to have the struggle. You have to have those screw-ups, those failures, because that's what makes things, that's what's going to make you better in the long run. And we know this. Deep down we know this. But when it comes time for our turn, right? Our turn to experience the shit, we get all upset about it.
Sucks.
It's like, dude, this is the way this works. Any worthwhile thing in your life is going to have this, right? There's no easy way. There's nothing that's worthwhile is ever easy.
Yeah.
Whether it's with a relationship with a person, a business, a skill that you're developing, it's never easy for like the long term. It's always going to have crap. And injuries are just simply a part of jiu-jitsu, and they're not the end of it. You can still train. It's not going to kill you. Just work around them. Do what you can. Let's answer another question because we're rambling today.
Chewy, here's a question that I was looking at.
Okay.
What's your diet before, like, day of tournament? What do you like to eat?
Day of tournament. Typically, carbs heavy. So it depends. Let me go backwards a little bit. Depending on what my weight is, right? Usually, I don't compete in any weight class now that would restrict me from being able to eat regular meals, because I don't want to have to go into a match not being well fed, well rested. So I always typically compete at super heavy. This weekend, I'm competing at ultra heavy, the heaviest weight class, because one of my friends is competing at super heavy, and we would be more than happy to fight it out for first and second, but there's no guarantee that we would. So I was like, shit, I'll just go up to super heavy or ultra heavy, and I'll just go like have fun. I was like, it'll be fun.
That's the pans.
Yeah, no-gi pants.
No-gi pans.
So I'll go up against some big dudes probably, right? Have some fun.
How many? Do you know how many in your division?
I think there's like maybe 6 or 7.
Ah.
So it's got a pretty good group. So you're probably gonna have like 2-3 matches.
How do you feel? You nervous?
No. I mean, it's not nervous. It's more like Anxiety is not what I get. I get it like anticipation. It's like, all right,
Nice.
let's go.
Let's get there.
Let's
Yeah.
go. I mean, it's the way it is for most people. Most people look at it the wrong way, though. They look at anxiety as a negative thing, and it's like you're not really feeling anxiety. You're having this performance like anticipation. It's almost akin to like the same feeling where I can barely contain myself when I'm waiting, like when I was a kid waiting for Christmas.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, I want it to be there already, right? It's the same thing when I compete. I'm not nervous about it. It's like I just want it to happen already.
Right.
Like I want to be out there already because as soon as I'm on the mat and we're locked up and we're going, everything's gone. There's no more nerves. It's like I'm moving.
Yeah.
Right. And so for me, that's the way I look at it. And for people that if you're having trouble with anxiety, don't consider it anxiety. It's not that. It's anticipation. But I'm excited about it. But anyway,
Nice.
so I eat same stuff. So I'll typically the night before carb heavy. And when I mean carb heavy, I don't mean like super crazy carbs because I don't want to be waterlogged the next day. But I'll eat a fair serving of carbohydrates, sweet potatoes, some berries. In the morning, the next day, I'll have some things like maybe some. If I really want some extra carbs, I'll get some maybe gluten-free oats or something like that. Maybe some berries, maybe some sweet potatoes, whatever it is I want to eat that morning to give me a big dump of carbohydrates so that I can feel good. The biggest thing I would say was with most people, just eat whatever it is that you normally eat like before. Because to me, you don't want to like wildly change it up the day before. Like you want to kind of keep your same diet going.
Mm-hmm.
So if you've been eating certain foods in the morning, eat those same foods that morning if you can before the competition. Instead of like saying, well, I'm going to change it up for this competition because that can really mess your gut up a little bit. So I eat typically the same shit almost every single day.
Yeah.
It's a wide mixture of foods, but I eat them with intention throughout the day, and so I just kind of keep that same thing going.
Nice.
So if you're going to make dietary changes, make those well before the competition, so that this way your body's acclimated to them.
All right. All right. Let's see if there's anything else.
Let's see here.
Trying to think. People like to make funny posts.
If you guys have any questions, throw them out there. I'm going to take a look here.
Yeah, we're trying to. Let me see.
Chewy, is it true? Oh, it's conversational stuff. Man, come on, dude. You're throwing out the crazy stuff again.
Trying to think if there's anything.
How do you recover between IBJJF matches? This is not a bad one. So I drink a supplement. So you can buy this supplement ready made, but typically I'll have a supplement that has a combination of things like dextrose. Dextrose powder in there, which goes straight into the bloodstream. It's like a really fast digesting carb source. Electrolytes and amino acids that I can take between. I'll sip on it a little bit, and that tends to help, especially the electrolytes and the dextrose. So years ago, my coach we took this supplement called Endurox. It was like a runner's sort of thing, and you could do it like intra, during, and like out post workout, right? So you do pre, post, or during workout, and we used to use it like between matches. So like when we would get done and our forearms would be like curled over from like grabbing, we would go sip on some of this stuff, and I noticed it was super helpful. Because again, it's basically just pumping through the dextrose. And I think there's a little bit of sucrose in there, pumping those sugars.
Like sugars, yeah.
Yeah, basically sugar. So dextrose is a fast digesting sugar. It's right to your bloodstream. Like, dude, if I for instance, if you want to feel good, like it's almost euphoric. If I get with a really heavy training session, take like some dextrose with some different stuff in there, like the recovery stuff, amino acids. Drink that with a little bit of caffeine. And
Oh, boy.
dude, you'll feel like you're floating on a cloud just because it's like straight into your bloodstream. But it's really good between matches, and I can sip on that, and that helps kind of give me a little bit more pep for the next matches.
There was one MCL sprain. So
MCL sprain.
Literacola 06.
Okay.
Says I sprained my MCL last week. I've just been taking time off, icing for the doctor. I'm going to try going back today. Any recovery tips? So an MCL, so that's medial collateral ligament, and that's usually the inner part of the knee. A lot of times it's non-surgical most of the time.
Okay.
It just kind of heals or scars down, and it does pretty well. But mainly, if you're going back, tell your coach, number one, I'm coming back. I've got a knee injury. Tell your training partners.
Yes.
Don't get any kind of positions where maybe De La Hiva, I would avoid anything like that. anything that puts stress on it, torques your knee at all. Tell your partners. Maybe you just start with, guard passing and just simple positional type things.
Yep.
That
And I think that's a big important thing that guys don't want to do sometimes. Just to share this with you, if you go into a gym, it doesn't make you a wimp to say, "Hey, bro, I got something hurt right now," or "Hey, coach, like I'm gonna set out rolling today because this is hurt," or whatever it is. Because to me, like again, when we're training together, we need to know what's going on with one another so we can help keep each other safe and healthy. And so again, now if you say you're hurt, that doesn't mean go full speed, like, and then leave your leg out there so they can't attack it. It means like, hey, listen, pull your own punches a little bit, go a little bit slower, and then let them know that, hey, I'm hurt right now. So this way they know not to attack certain things. Or if your coach is like, you just let them know, say, listen, I may not be able to do everything, or I'm going to sit out during rolling. Here's why. Letting people aware of the situation. A lot of people don't want to do that, but that's super important, I think.
Well, you brought up a great point. If you're injured, don't go 100% against your training partner, because you're like basically telling them, don't go for this area, but I'm gonna go. So you taper it.
Yeah.
Taper it together. Like,
Yeah.
okay, we're not gonna kill each other. We're gonna go maybe 60, 70%, whatever it is.
When someone's injured, like, and I roll them, we'll literally flow.
Right.
We'll just literally, it's enough to get you a sweat and to mess around a little bit. I'm going to actually have doing a video where me and one of the guys I was training with in St. Louis, or before the heavy ass hard training, we were flow rolling. It's the way that we got warmed up. Literally, we're just flopping around and like trying stuff and moving around a little bit and getting a good sweat going. And you can do that particular type of rolling even if you're hurt. You can still take part. You can still see how techniques work in movement. The stress level is just very, very low.
One of my favorite ways to warm up. I think I did a video on it. And it was like if you come late to class or something, you have time to warm up. What do? Well, you could probably spend some time going through some movement things on your own. But if you want to jump in, tell your partner, whoever, hey, I'm not warmed up yet. Let me flow. And you even talked about the first roll, usually first hard, or your second roll is harder.
Yeah.
The first roll is fairly light.
Yeah, because you're just trying to get your body warmed up.
For sure.
And conversational skill, threw a good one out today. Instead of the junk, he said, I hate when you tell someone slow roll and 10 seconds later they blast you like it's a tourney. And that goes both ways. You'll get guys say, oh man, my
100%.
arms hurt, my neck's hurt, and then they'll go full speed. Or, maybe you say, hey, listen, my knees hurt, please don't grab it. And all of a sudden they try to heel hook you. It's like, you got to keep those things in mind. Let's see, there's a good one up here. Matthew Makes Tattoo says, have you guys ever used CBD rubs in the past for muscle pain? How do you feel it compares with non-CBD rubs like Tiger Balm? So my first actual encounter with CBD, and that was what kind of made me a believer, was with the CBD balm. So I was down in, it happened actually twice. I was down in Costa Rica, and I put some on my leg, and then I had a muscle pain that was coming from a training session I had with John Salter, and Uncle Tony Clemente, he rubbed the CBD balm on my shoulder where the pain was.
Probably the monkey.
Yeah, I think Monkey Tape makes it. Monkey Tape was the one that made this particular balm that I'm talking about. And so when I got home, I was doing some work, and I had been kind of hunched over because it was hurting to get good posture. And then Jess looked at me, my girlfriend. She goes, "Hey," she's like, "How's your back feeling?" And I had completely forgot about it hurting. I was like, "Oh, son of a bitch!" Like, I didn't have to think myself through it. Like, it stopped hurting. And so that's when I started getting into the CBD. So I think that the CBD balms are definitely useful for site-specific stuff. For me personally, I take a dropper and just put it in. And I've still noticed that it, like for instance, that pain that I had was residual. It was continually coming back. When I started doing the dropper, within about 2 weeks of doing the dropper, it was gone. Yeah. Because it kept flaring back up. It was gone. And I was like, dude, I was like, oh my God, that's amazing. That's insane.
Yeah, I think it's, a better way to directly, like, say it's a muscle.
Right.
If you have like a really, something you tweaked a joint, sprained
that's
an
different.
ankle,
Yeah.
that's different. It's probably not going to be as effective, but for muscle wise, I think it can be pretty effective in helping that work its way out a little faster.
Yeah. So another question here from Adam Knowles. He says, Chewy, what's your thoughts on cutting for matches and long-term decline from them? Long-term decline, I don't know if you mean like the amount of people cutting weight or like what's going to happen for you if you do it for long-term. But I don't like to cut weight anymore. Like for me, like my performance increases if I go in comfortable weight. So if I need to lose 5 pounds, I'll shed that weight off prior to the tournament. And here's another thing, man. In your jiu-jitsu gym, how often do you roll with the same people or people of the same weight? How often does that happen? It like happens a little bit, but like a lot of times you're with all sorts of different sized people, right? So you can use jiu-jitsu against heavier people or smaller people. So I'm not saying it doesn't matter, because it definitely does, but it's not like an MMA fight where you going up a weight class means you're going up against a guy who's probably like 30 pounds heavier than you, and he's going to cave your face in with a punch. It's like you're going up against maybe you move up a weight class, it's maybe 10 pounds or so, and now you're going to have to compete against guys that are a little bit bigger than you, and you're going to have to play a certain way against them, but you probably have rolled against guys the same size in the gym. And honestly, I found that from my own experience, I do better in heavier weight classes. When I go down to smaller weight classes, the guys are faster, they wear me out. They go up to heavier weight classes, they move a little less. But I feel that I do a lot better from my performance standpoint when I'm just well fed, well rested.
Yeah.
And I've talked about this numerous times. It's like it only makes sense. It's like you have more nutrients flowing through your body. You're not depleted. You have more water filled in your muscles. They have more pep to go. The only time I would consider cutting weight is if it's a day before.
Right.
If it's not the day before, I'm not going to consider it. If it's the day of, I'm going to make the weight beforehand and just be able to coast in there nice and ready to go. And then if not, then I'm just going to go up a weight class.
It's an extra stressor you're taking out.
Yeah.
I mean, you might be stressing about your weight, and that's the
mentally and physically.
Yeah.
Right? Dude, like I know guys that like sit there like they're the night before the tournament, they're nervous for the tournament, and they can't even have like a little bit of food. They're sitting there having to like go like on an empty stomach to try to go to sleep. They get shitty sleep. They get up the next day, they're ragged and like they're going up to the scale, weighing themselves like, can I eat that? Man, honestly, I just if you're going for the most elite level thing, whatever, maybe you got to make some cuts. But I think that a lot of times what I see from jiu-jitsu guys is they've got a lot of excess that they could lose. Right?
Mm-hmm.
It's not like there are some jiu-jitsu guys that are ripped to shreds, but most guys have a little excess that they could lose. Their diet could be a little bit better, and if they made some dietary changes early, they wouldn't have to cut weight. They would be healthier in their training session. They'd be eating better, and they'd go right into the tournament ready to go.
Yeah, lose it. I mean, maybe even lose it before. See if you can keep that weight off and maintain it. But you don't want to be losing like 10, 15 pounds the night before or some shit like that. It's going to be terrible.
I think it's going to be fucking awful.
All right, let's do one more.
All right, one more question, guys.
All right.
I'll let you choose this one.
I'm trying to see. There's one about just general hygiene. We'll just do that one.
The one about cutting nails?
Yeah, we can talk about one.
All right,
so cut your nails.
Cut your nails.
We're done.
So here's a fun story. Cut your nails and cut your toenails. I had a guy one time years ago. I was rolling with one of my blue belts, and
I remember this.
Yeah, so rolling with this guy named Simon, blue belt, and his nails weren't terribly long, but he had his toenails to the point where his nail, if you were to press his toenail against a wall, his nail would hit before the skin of the toe.
Oh, jeez.
Okay, so it was a little bit longer than it needed to be. We were rolling, and I closed my eye as his foot came across my face, and I'm glad I did, because when he did, his toenail sliced my eyelid. It sliced the other side, so like it didn't slice all the way through, but like I could do this, and you could like see the inside of the eyelid.
Oh.
And had that friggin' like caught my eye, man, it would have done some damage. And so
think about the infection too, man.
Oh my gosh, I have
like
dirty ass toenails.
Yeah.
They're going across your face. So yeah, trim your toenails. We
want to end on that question. I don't know. We need one more.
Okay,
it's not the best one.
It's not a good question.
I don't know.
Here's one more funny one. I can share another story about this one. Clay Coppinger says, "Is it chill to tell your training partner when they smell good AF? So good as fuck.
They smell good.
Yeah, they smell good." So if they smell good, here's a fun one. My buddy Dave Riley, he's a good friend of mine, and we were training years ago. And Dave, I don't know what he is. I haven't seen him in a couple of years. He's a little bit more chill now, it seems like. But back in the day, he was very put together, very well manscaped, right? So he comes in, and we're in the middle of rolling. I took his back. And then in the middle of our rolls, I'm holding him from back mount, so my arms around his body, and we're kind of holding her, and I kind of go sniff a little bit, and I was like, man. And we just like stopped because I said, dude, your hair smells amazing. And he stops and he's in the middle of like his hands are like pulling down on my arm so I don't choke him, and he stops. He brings his hands off of my arm that's trying to choke him, and he starts kind of putting his hands through his hair. Oh yeah, this is this new stuff I got, right? It smells great, doesn't it? And he told me what the scent was, and then afterwards I'm like, yeah, it's really good. And we had this brief pause of like, what the hell did we just do? And we kind of looked at each other and like,
moment.
let's go back to rolling. You know, we went back to rolling. So I don't know.
It's like that. You remember? You've seen that picture of Vanderlei and Shogun? They're like,
Oh yeah,
he's
yeah,
got
yeah.
his back and he's
it's
like
only gay if you make eye contact.
I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't know what it said. But
it's him and Shogun. So where they're smiling,
like smiling,
yeah.
laughing. I was like, yeah, dude, that's the essence of jiu-jitsu.
Hey man, the thing is like if you're not secure enough in your like masculinity to like do that, then like something's wrong. You know, it's like to me, it's like you can do that because of the fact that like who gives a shit? Like we're sweating all over each other and rolling and stuff like that. Like your people's balls are like an inch away from my face half the time. There's a thin layer of fabric that covers them up, but it's like they're right there. Like it's all right, man.
You smell everything.
You smell everything, yeah. Oh, by the way, if you have a partner that smells terrible,
there you go.
Okay, we had this the other day.
God,
man, you got to get used to these standing desks, dog.
I know.
Eugene's over here. He puts his coffee on the little menu that like lifts the desk up and keeps it up.
Man, I'm not used to this high
tech table. But if you go to your gym and someone smells terrible, like their gi smells terrible, their clothes smell, go tell your coach and let them take care of it. Because like I had to tell one guy, like I brought him over, you know, and I was like, hey man, I was like, come here real quick. And I brought him over because Chad had told me, he's like, dude, he's smelling pretty ripe. And I was like, are you sure? He goes, yeah, my nostrils are burning. So I go over there and I'm like, oh wow, he does smell pretty bad. So I pull him over to the side. I was like, hey man. And he's like, yeah. I say, when was the last time you washed that gi? You know, and he looked at me, man, and you could tell he kind of knew he'd messed up. Yeah. He goes, oh man, it's been a while. I was like, it's been a while. I was like, where's that gi been sitting?
In your car.
In his car. I was like, oh, dude, just come on, man. In your car.
In its own juices.
You got this bacterial force field around you. Oh, gross.
Yeah,
dude.
Wash your belt, too. You're not going to lose your juju. And
the reason that's so important is because that smell that you have on your items and your clothing, that smell is not victory. It's not spirit. It's not the essence of jiu-jitsu. It's fucking bacteria that will cause skin infections and all kinds of nasty stuff. So tell your coach and let them like talk to him and say, hey bro, like you smell stinky.
So Chewy, what do you got on the horizon? Pans, Nogi Pans on Saturday.
Nogi Pans is Saturday
in New York.
Yeah, Nogi Pans is Saturday in New York.
You, Chad, Billy.
Billy, you're gonna do it. It's us three, and then I'll be in New Jersey on Monday, and like it's kind of, I guess it's out in, I don't know New Jersey, but a guy was talking to me, he said, oh, you're going to be up, would you like to do a seminar? So nice. I'm going to be doing one in, it's like Ronan BJJ in like Hackettstown, New Jersey.
Sweet.
So I'm going to be doing a seminar there in Monday, and then I'll be doing a seminar in Memphis, I think, in like 2 weeks.
Nice.
So there's a couple seminars coming up. The gis, for any of you guys that order the gis will be out. They're going to be, I should be receiving them in the next week. Start getting those things shipped out. And for those of you guys that ordered a gi, you'll also be receiving a newsletter. It's like a little printed newsletter that I had made up that'll be shipped to you separately.
Nice.
So I think that's all. That's it. And
maybe
then,
if we toss the idea around. Maybe some Chewjitsu podcast shirts.
Yes.
Possibly, if anybody's interested.
Yeah. So we'll give you guys some more details. But if you guys are interested, we're thinking about putting some podcast shirts together.
Yeah.
And getting those out to you. So if that's something you're interested in, we'll have some stuff out for you guys later on.
Let's get a couple samples out.
Yeah,
see what they look like.
And then again, guys, appreciate you guys listening. And if you guys haven't done so already, you can check it out on iTunes, Stitcher, Spotify, all those different places. And if you guys, again, it really helps the show out. If you enjoy it and enjoy listening to it, do a review. It takes it's literally 2 seconds to do.
Yeah.
Just tell us that if you enjoy the show, give us a 5-star review if you think we're worth it. And
yeah.
if you don't, tell us why we're not worth it so we can earn it from you.
Yeah, absolutely.
But
we do our best. We like to, keep it entertaining, keep it fun.
Yeah. But like we were, just as kind of, I guess, to end this thing, we're starting to rattle on, but we really wanted to make sure that in this episode, you guys got some stuff for your recovery, because recovery is a big part of jiu-jitsu. It's not the fun, sexy part of it, but it's the part that makes the fun, sexy part happen. Without the proper recovery, nothing else happens. It's just the way it is. And so for you guys listeners, I hope that you were able to take a couple of tips away from this, and even if you decide if only one, take the theanine in the coffee tip. It works
Oh.
it's so good, man.
I'm gonna try it.
You have to try
I
it.
didn't know anything about it, so I'm gonna give it a shot for sure.
It's really pretty cool. I was pretty surprised because I know those guys that are like naturally kind of like anxious people like us, where we're like naturally got the jitters and stuff. Dude, it's like
and the other thing, if people have topics like something they want covered, send you or me a message, and if that's something you're interested in, we can always touch on some things. So
sounds good. All right.
See you guys next time.
Peace, guys.
Thanks for checking out. Intro for you. I said thanks for checking out. I misspoken. No, my oh, we're still on.